Okay, so welcome everyone to this webinar on hybrid engine development and alternate fuels that we'll be generally using in those hybrid engines. See, if my voice is not audible, if it is breaking, or if there is a lag between what I am saying and what I am showing, so just say me. I'll be changing my connection. Okay, Jain Ahmed, there is a lag. Okay, so I'll be updating my network. So what are hybrid engines? We'll be learning about what are hybrid engines and what are dedicated hybrid engines. What are hybrid engines and what are dedicated hybrid engines? See, if my voice is not audible, you can say. So what are hybrid engines and what are dedicated hybrid engines? We'll be studying about those things. So first, let us know, before starting on what is a hybrid engine, let me say you about what is a IC engine. What is a IC engine? That is a internal combustion engine. Internal combustion engine. We know that the IC engine is a concept of 18th century. IC engine is a concept of 18th century. Okay. IC engine and also internal combustion. Internal combustion engine and external combustion engine, both of them are, you can say, concept of 18th century. So till date, there is a huge advancement in both internal combustion and external combustion. So external combustion are not widely used nowadays, but internal combustion is a standard machine for most of the vehicles and most of the systems also. Internal combustion engine is a standard machine for most of the systems that we see in our day-to-day life, like automobiles, like generators, like power generators and pumps, and some other things also. They use internal combustion engine in our for their working. And internal combustion engine has become a standard machine in our day-to-day life. So what is an internal combustion engine? An internal combustion engine, or a ICE, is a heat engine. Heat engine means it uses or it utilizes heat that is generated from combustion of fuel mixture or fuel mixed with air or charge. That is, you can say, it works on the heat that is generated because of the charge that is flowing inside the cylinder, in which the combustion of a fuel occurs with an oxidizer. Oxidizer, usually air, in a combustion chamber that is an integral part of the working fluid flow circuit. An internal combustion engine, the expansion of the high temperature and high pressure gas produced by combustion applies direct force to some components of the engine. We know that the atoms of a solid, why they are taking very small volume? It is because they are vibrating at a very slow pace. Since they are vibrating slowly and also their vibrational energy is very low, hence the amount of volume that they are occupying during their vibration is also low. When they are converted to liquid, their vibration is much high. When they are converted to gas, their vibration is much more high. This is the reason why they change their state, and also they change their volume. In a solid, the solid has the minimum volume of all the states. Of all the states that are available, solid has the minimum volume because it has the least amount of vibrational energy. Then with an increase in energy, the vibration increases. So the gaseous states have the maximum vibrational energy. This is the reason why we atomize, or you can say, inside the cylinder we use charge. We do not use liquid fuel. Though liquid fuel is, you can say, liquid fuel is sprayed as a charge inside the internal combustion engine, and we ignite that engine. Or when we and we means, you can say, we ignite that charge, and when we ignite that charge, there is a high temperature and high pressure that is produced because of the energy that the components of that charge give out. This is the reason why internal combustion engines are very, not efficient, but very useful, because we get a lot of charge from or lot of energy from a very small amount of charge. we get a lot of energy. We get high amount of energy from very low amount of charge. The force is applied typically to piston, turbine blades, rotor, or a nozzle. In jet engines, in rocket engines, we use nozzle. Nozzle is also used in order to compress and expand the gas. Compress and expand the gas. What is the use of compression and expansion? Same thing, in order to reduce the total volume that is taken up by the components or constituents of the charge, and again to suddenly increase the volume. When there is a sudden increase in volume, there is a sudden increase in thrust also. So the force that generally comes out because of the high pressure and high temperature of the gas, it is applied to pistons, turbine blades, rotors, or nozzles. This force moves the component over a distance, transforming chemical energy to useful kinetic energy, and is used to propel, move, or power whatever the engine is attached to. You can say because of the high pressure, there is some work done by a system. Means we generally supply that energy to a system which can do some work. If we just supply this energy to a static system which cannot do any work, then the energy is lost. So we supply this energy to a system which can do some work, and which can get, or from which we can get useful kinetic energy. The energy that we are getting from chemical reaction, burning of charge, those charge, or you can say that energy can be converted to useful kinetic energy. So we use, or we implement those machines and those mechanics such that we can use that kinetic energy either to propel or to power to the components that are connected to or attached to a IC engine. Then internal combustion engine, but there are two types of internal combustion engine. First one is the spark ignition engine or gasoline engine, and the second one is the compression ignition engine or the diesel engine. Most of these are four-stroke cycle engines, meaning 4 piston strokes are needed to complete a cycle. Intake stroke, then compression stroke, then expansion stroke, then exhaust stroke. 4-stroke means first one is intake stroke. The charge is intake, or it is introduced to the cylinder. Then compression of the charge, in order to, why the charge is compressed, such that there will be a blast energy or blasting force. We can blast those charges. This is the reason why they are compressed. When the gas tries to expand in a very small volume, then it exerts a lot of pressure. It exerts a lot of pressure in a very small amount of time. Remember, we can also ignite the charge, but why we compress the charge? We compress the charge such that the expansion will be very fast, and that expansion can be utilized in order to do some useful work. Then there is expansion stroke. Now the charge is expanding. During its combustion, the charge is expanding. If we do not allow the charge to expand, it will just burst the piston head, or you can say the cylinder head or engine head. We have a head that generally has our combustion chamber, or you can say, yes, combustion chamber. If we do not let the charge to expand, then it will just burst out or leak out of the engine. Hence, we need an expansion stroke also. After expansion stroke, we have exhaust stroke. So there is 4-stroke, that is 4-stroke. First one is intake stroke, compression stroke, expansion stroke, and exhaust stroke. So in both these type of engines, spark ignition engines and compression ignition engines, we have these 4 strokes. In spark ignition engine, what happens? There is an intake stroke. Okay, in spark ignition engine, there is a SI engines. There is a intake stroke. Then there is a compression stroke. Then in this compression stroke, there is a what? There is a spark plug. In SI engines, spark engines, we use a spark. to ignite the charge. We use a spark to ignite the charge. Then after compression, we go for expansion stroke. Okay, Ravi and Ramesh, see if you are just keep all your questions to the end of this session. I will be explaining all the questions that you have, but after the end of this session. Then exhaust. But in CI engines, there is same intake, compression, expansion, and also exhaust. And also exhaust. Okay, and also exhaust. Okay, audio problem, P. Praveen. If you are facing audio problem, I think there is no lag in my internet because it is very fast. Just check your internet whether it is okay or not. I have checked my internet connections; those are good. Okay. So in CI engines or compression ignition engines, Praveen, if it is all right, then you can go on, or if still there is any problem, then you can say. In CI engines, in compression ignition engine, same there is an intake stroke, then there is a compression stroke. But during compression, what happens? Remember, the gases or the gas, they have some energy or they have more energy. Yes, compressors are also used to do work. Compressor, like your turbocharger. Turbocharger is a compressor. One of the turbine is rotating in order to compress the air and to deliver that air to the chamber. Okay, compressors are also used in order to reduce the or in order to increase the pressure. So in compression stroke of a CI engine or a compression ignition engine, what happens? We know that gas have high energy than liquids. Means let's say water in solid state or water in liquid state has higher energy than water in solid state. Water in gaseous state has high energy than water in liquid state. We have studied about superheated vapors, how superheated vapors can do more work than normal vapors. In the same way, gas, when the charge is in gaseous state, it has more energy. So when we compress the gas, so we try to bring those gas to a very small volume. Now, when we bring those gas to a very small volume, they start giving out energy. They start giving out energy. Okay, they start giving out energy. And when they start giving out energy, there is ample amount of energy to start the ignition. There is ample amount of energy to start the ignition. This is the reason why in diesel engines or in compression ignition engine, we do not need any spark plug, because the amount of energy that is needed for spark or needed for combustion is available when we compress the gas. But in spark ignition engine, we have to provide some spark, because petrol are lighter than diesel. Petrol is lighter than diesel. If we compress the petrol, it will be compressing very easily and will not be getting the required energy from the petrol. But in diesel is a bit heavy than petrol. Hence, when we try to compress the diesel, it gives out a lot of energy. This is the reason why in compression ignition engines, we do not use any kind of spark plug. Rather, we use the compression of the gas to ignite the fuel. Same after compression, there is an expansion stroke and also there is a exhaust stroke. The cycle includes 4 distinct processes: intake, compression, combustion, and power stroke and exhaust. Okay, so intake stroke, compression stroke, combustion and power stroke are both same, and exhaust. Spark ignition gasoline and compression ignition diesel engine differ on how they supply and ignite the fuel. In spark ignition engine, the fuel is supplied, or you can say a mixture of fuel is supplied to the chamber. In compression ignition engines, the fuel is sprayed inside the, or you can say it is sprayed. Sprayed means SPRAYED, sprayed. Okay, the fuel is sprayed to the chamber. In intake stroke, we only intake the, or when only we there is only air in the chamber and the fuel is sprayed to those air. But in spark ignition, the air and fuel are mixed outside and drawn to the chamber. After the piston compresses the air fuel mixture, yes, through fuel injectors. Nowadays, petrol engines do have fuel injectors also. After piston compresses the fuel air mixture, the spark ignites it, causing combustion. The expansion of the combustion gas pushes the piston during the power stroke. In a diesel engine, only air is inducted to the engine and then compressed. Diesel engine then spray the fuel into the hot compressed air at a suitable measure rate, causing it to ignite. So how do IC engine works? Combustion, also known as burning, is a basic chemical process. Function of FI, see fuel injector. FI engine means fuel injector engines. What is the function of FI? Fuel injectors are used to inject fuels to the swirling air. Means inside the cylinder, when the air is inducted to the cylinder, the air has lot of motions. Those motions are introduced because of some of the you can say it is because of some of the cuttings that we have done on the piston. Depending on those cuttings and those shape and size of the piston, the air inside the cylinder, it moves or it swirls and there is a lot of turbulence. And when there is a lot of turbulence and swirl, the mixing is also very good. So during those time, we inject the fuel to the air for efficient mixing. In an internal combustion engine, the ignition and combustion of the fuel occurs within the engine itself. The engine then partially converts the energy from the combustion to work. Partially, why not fully? Because remember, nowadays the engine that we generally use, the amount of fuel supplied in SI engine is more than the fuel supplied in FI. Okay, I'll be answering all your questions. Okay, let me just complete this session. The engine, when partially converted, the energy, you can say the engine then partially converts the energy from the combustion to work. Why partially? It is because most of the energy is lost as heat. If we can make the engine completely adiabatic, okay, completely adiabatic, or means you can say there will be very less amount of heat transfer, or the heat transfer is very less, then we can convert all the energies that are available to useful work. But most of the energy is lost as heat. Hence, we can only partially convert the energy from combustion to work. The engine consists of fixed cylinder and moving piston. The expanding combustion gases push the piston, which in turn rotates the crankshaft. Ultimately, through a system of gears in the powertrain, this motion drives the vehicle's wheel. So this is how a normal IC engine works. Now let us know about what is hybrid electric vehicle. This is how a IC engine work. Any type of IC engine, not only automobile IC engine, but any type of IC engine. We know that IC engines are also used as for generators. They are also used for sugarcane extraction, or you can say cane. You can say that juice extraction from sugarcane. Engines are also used there. A lot of places engines are used, and their working is same. Then what is the work of IC engine in a hybrid electric vehicle? Let us start. EVs can run solely on electric propulsion, or they can have an ICE working alongside. Having only batteries as energy source constitutes the basic king of EV. But there are kinds that can employ other energy source methods. These are called hybrid EVs. The International Electrotechnical Commission Technical Committee proposed that vehicles using two or more types of energy source, storage or converters, can be called as hybrid electric vehicles. That means if a vehicle has more than two power source and the power source can be individually utilized to run the vehicle, then we can call those vehicles as hybrid vehicles. We can call those vehicles as hybrid vehicles. So what is hybrid vehicles again? A hybrid vehicle is a vehicle that has two or more type of energy source or power source, and the power source can be independently used to drive the system. They can be used in coupled manner also, but when they're used independently, then we call that vehicle as a hybrid vehicle. Okay, Leon Fernandez, if you are missing anything or if there is any lag that you are not able to get, I'll be saying things slowly. So this makes this combination or this independent power source that are available in a vehicle, more than two independent power source when they are available in a vehicle, they bring about a lot of combination possible for hybrid electric vehicles. What are those combinations? There will be an IC engine and a battery system. IC engine will be driving the vehicle, battery will be driving the motor, and motor will be driving the vehicle. Second one is battery and flywheel. Battery will be driving the vehicle, flywheel will be storing the energy. When we need to stop the vehicle, we supply those energy that are contained in the vehicle to flywheel. Again, when we start the vehicle, the flywheel supplies the energy that it has extracted during stopping of the vehicle, and it will be delivering that energy to the vehicle again for assisted acceleration. Battery and capacitors. When we use regenerative braking, we store the energy that we would have lost during braking in supercapacitors or capacitors. And when we need all those energy, we can also get those energies very fast from capacitors, because the power density of capacitor is very high. The power density of battery is not that high, but the energy density of battery is very high. But the power density of capacitor is very high. What is power density and energy density? Energy density means the system can hold a lot of energy. And what is power density? What means if a system has high power density, that means it can deliver the energy very fast. High energy density means it can store high amount of energy. High power density means it can deliver the energy very fast. It is not required or it is not mandatory that high power density machines or devices can also store high amount of energy. It is not mandatory, it is not required. In capacitors, we store very small amount of energy, but they have very high power density. That means they can deliver that energy very fast. But in battery, we have high energy density. That means we can store a lot of energy in batteries, but they have very low power density. The rate at which they can supply that energy is very less. And finally, we have battery and fuel cells. Batteries and fuel cells, hydrogen fuel cells or any other fuel cells that we have or that we can implement. Yes, discharge rate of capacitor is very high because of high power density. EVs can be categorized as follows. So depending on this combination, we can categorize the EVs into following categories. First one is battery electric vehicle, hybrid electric vehicle, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and fuel cell electric vehicle. So depending on this combination, we can have different types of electric vehicle. In a battery electric vehicle, we have battery and capacitors. In a hybrid electric vehicle, we have IC engine and battery. In a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, we have IC engine, battery, and capacitors. In a fuel cell electric vehicle, we have battery and fuel cell. After that, today's hybrid electric vehicles are powered by an internal combustion engine in combination to one or more electric motors that uses energy stored in batteries. The HEVs, the hybrid electric vehicles, combines the benefit of high fuel economy and low tailpipe emission. Classification. Okay, so these are the classifications. Just see, these are the classifications. See, I am just saying it again and again. The doubts that you have, you will be getting all these things. I'll be saying you about all these things, but let me complete the session. You can ask in the doubt. If there is genuine doubt, then I will be saying it. But if you have common doubts or you have general doubts, then it is better I will be clarifying all those doubts at the end of the session. Okay. Today's hybrid electric vehicles are powered by an internal combustion engine in combination with one or more electric motor that uses energy stored in batteries. Hybrid electric vehicles combines the benefit of high fuel economy and low tailpipe emission with power and range of conventional machines. Why they have high fuel efficiency or high fuel economy? Because of engine downsizing. The size of engine that we use in hybrid electric vehicles, those are downsized. Why they are downsized? It is because we are using additional motor to drive the vehicle. Hence, since the engine has downsized, the amount of energy that we are working on with the engine is also low, for which it has high fuel economy and low tailpipe emission also. Why low tailpipe emission? Because the amount of charge that is also entering the engine is also low, and we can get a very high. And since the engine is downsized, the inertial losses are also very low, for which there is, or you can say there is very efficient combustion of charge, and because of that we have very low tailpipe emission. In hybrid electric vehicle, the extra power provided by the electric motor may allow for a smaller combustion engine. As I have said, downsizing of the engine. The battery can also power auxiliary load and reduce engine idling when the vehicle is stopped. Together, these features result in better fuel economy without sacrificing performance. In an hybrid electric vehicle, okay, sorry if there is any problem with the mic. I am near the mic. Okay. The battery can also power auxiliary loads and reduce engine idling when the vehicle is stopped. Together, these features result in better fuel economy without sacrificing performance. So this is how a hybrid electric vehicle architecture is. This is how a hybrid electric vehicle's architecture is. Then let us come to the topic of discussion, that is dedicated hybrid. In general hybrid engines, let me show you some models of general hybrid. Let me show you some models of general hybrid. You can see these are general hybrid engines. Okay, there is a IC engine, there is a motor, and there is a mechanical coupling. There is a IC engine and there is a motor and there is a mechanical coupling also. Okay, there is a IC engine and there is a motor and there is a mechanical coupling. That means IC engine is situated inside the vehicle architecture or inside the vehicle. The IC engine is at some location, the motor is at other location, and those are coupled using torque coupling or mechanical coupling. Or coupling systems are used in order to couple those two systems. Those in general hybrid, in any type of hybrid system that we see, P2 hybrid, PS hybrid, there is, you can say the engine is at a location, the motor is at other location, and those are connected by use of coupling systems. Those are connected by the use of coupling systems. Okay, those are connected by use of coupling systems. But in dedicated hybrid engine, in a dedicated hybrid engine, benefits of coupling, obviously you have to ride both battery, you have to use both motor and engine, so coupling is needed. Dedicated hybrid engine. What is a dedicated hybrid engine? It is an internal combustion engine that requires an electric machine, the drivetrain, to undertake its desired functions. That means what? In dedicated hybrid engine, both the motor and the IC engine are integrated as a single unit. In dedicated hybrid engines, both the motor and the IC engine are integrated as a single unit. Why develop a dedicated hybrid engine? It uses electrification. No, cost will not increase. I will be talking about those costs. Okay, the cost will actually decrease. In dedicated hybrid engine, the cost is much less than only hybrid engines, because we have to use additional coupling, and there are axles connected throughout the system, or there are, or you can say, prop shafts connected throughout the system. In some of the hybrid engines, we use planetary gear system also. But in dedicated hybrid engines, under a single roof, or you can say as a single unit, the IC engine and the motor work. So why use DHE? It uses electrification to simplify the conventional base engine architecture whilst improving system energy efficiency. A hybrid powertrain adds part, cost and complexity. Okay, a hybrid powertrain adds part, cost and complexity. A DHE simplifies the engine system and reduces BOM cost overall. You can see in here, in hybrid engine, the engine is somewhere else, the motor is somewhere else. We have to couple the engine and motor using mechanical couplings. But in you can say in dedicated hybrid engines, it simplifies the engine system and reduces the total bill of material cost also. That means the total amount, the total cost that we are needing, that we need in order to build a hybrid powertrain that has engine somewhere and motor some other, I can say somewhere other, or at some other place. From that system, a dedicated hybrid engine system is much more cost efficient. Yes, we can use both the energies at one time. I will be talking about those things in coming slides. Okay. So this is the working range. In here, we have the working range of dedicated hybrid engine. We have the working range. Micro hybrids. Micro start stop hybrids. Micro hybrids means you can say this is the only IC engine. Means there is no motor, only IC engine. Then micro hybrid. Micro hybrid means the engine is used, or you can say engine is the primary source of power transfer, and there is a small motor that runs when the engine is stopping, or let's say in traffic. No, it will not increase the cost. Let me say it. Okay. In micro hybrid, no, there will be no increase in weight also. Okay. See, the weight is also reducing, the cost is also reducing if we go for dedicated hybrid. Okay. A hybrid, you can say micro hybrid. In micro hybrid, what we have, there is a large engine and there is a small motor. There is a large engine, there is a small motor. During traffic, the engine switches off and the motor is driven by the battery, which runs the air conditioning, security systems and some other devices. And during start of the engine, it also helps in starting the engine. This is micro hybrid. Then mild hybrid. Mild hybrid, there is a small, there is same. The engine and motor. In micro hybrid, there is no coupling between engine and motor. Only engine. Okay. Only engine uses, or you can say only engine is the primary source of power transfer. In mild hybrid, both engine and motor are primary source of power transfer. Yes, micro hybrid, there is a motor, a dedicated motor to start. In micro hybrid, that motor is used for starting the engine. Then we have hybrid electric vehicle. Then we have full hybrid electric vehicle. Then we have plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. Then we have ICE rev vehicles. Then we have full electric vehicle and battery electric. So the dedicated hybrid engine, we can get the working range from hybrid electric vehicle to full electric vehicle. You can see the working range. Emission, this is the emission range. Okay. And the working range also. We can run the dedicated hybrid engine from hybrid engine vehicle, from the range of hybrid engine vehicle to battery electric, or you can say battery electric vehicle, BEV or full fuel cell electric vehicle. We can use up to this much also. That means they are very efficient and their working range is also very good. You can see if we buy a hybrid electric vehicle, we only work in this range. If we buy a full hybrid electric vehicle, we work only in this range. If we buy a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, we also work in this. But if we buy a vehicle which has a dedicated hybrid engine, then we can run from very high efficiency to somewhat moderate efficiency. The window is very high. Radhe, just keep your questions to the end of this session. Okay. So we can, the window is large. The window is large. We can have very high efficiency and also moderate efficiency in dedicated hybrid. So how dedicated hybrid engine differ from conventional engine? But first is engine function within the powertrain. First, let us compare the engine function with the powertrain. In conventional engine, directly provides all mechanical power from entire vehicle, drive, ancillary comfort to the powertrain. Vehicle character provides by the engine NVH attributes. Okay. Okay. Then hybrid powertrain, engine functionality driven by hybrid powertrain type. Different hybrid powertrains have different efficiency, cost, and complexity requirement. Then benefits of DHE in engine function within powertrain, flexible design approach with D-content and architecture optimized code. Since the engine is directly integrated with the motor, or the motor is directly integrated with the engine, then we have a flexible approach to all the situations. We have a flexible approach to all the situations while supplying power to the powertrain. Remember, in vehicle, we encounter a lot of different situations. Sometimes off-roading, sometimes on-roading, sometimes very wavy path, sometimes smooth path. And those situations vary a lot. The situations in which a vehicle runs, they vary a lot. A dedicated hybrid engines or hybrid engine very well optimize those situations that it is working on. In hybrid powertrain, we can optimize the system for some situations. In conventional powertrain, same thing can happen. But the optimization level of a dedicated hybrid engine is much more than a normal hybrid powertrain and a conventional powertrain. Engine performance requirement, broad engine speed and load range, idle maximum speed, idle power requirement to maintain ancillary power. We have to keep the engine running at idle condition to provide ancillary powers. Peak vehicle performance linked directly to engine peak power. Engine performance in conventional engines. Increasing electrification means greater flexibility in defining engine operating envelope. Increasing electrification means whenever we do not want the engine to run, we can just switch off the engine and we can run with the battery also. Significant opportunity to balance power demand between engine and electrification in most efficient. Ancillary power means the extra powers, auxiliary power source. In your vehicle, engine is the primary source of power, and those, or you can say some ancillary power units are your, you can say your power steering, your brake boosters, then your AC, air conditioning, those are ancillary units. Okay. Then significant opportunity to improve the engine drive cycle efficiency. In hybrid dedicated hybrid engine, we can directly improve, or you can say we can directly work on the engine drive cycle. In dedicated hybrid engine, we can directly work on the engine drive cycle. Either we can keep it idling, we can keep it completely switched off, we can keep it running. Anything can be done in a dedicated hybrid engine. Then powertrain control and flexibility. Engine operation directly linked to driver vehicle demand. Engine control focused on pollutants versus CO2 trade-off across drive cycle. What is drive cycle? Drive cycle means, you can say, like during running of a car, we came across very different types of drive cycles. Sometimes you need high acceleration, sometimes you need high RPM, sometimes you need smooth RPM and high smooth acceleration. There are various requirements depending on the mood, depending on the situation. But because of pollution issue, there is always a trade-off in drive cycle. That means we cannot provide high amount of torque because it will produce a lot of CO2. The ECU mapping is done like that the engine will always be working below its power. Okay, the engine will always be working below its power. Radhe, just do not raise your hand, just type out the question so that your question can reach all the students. Okay, so because those things, because of pollution and pollutants and CO2 level in engine mapping, the engine ECU is mapped in such a way that engine always works below its not optimal, below its maximum power or maximum power range. Hence, there is a trade-off in drive cycle. In hybrid powertrain, engine operation and control can be detached from the driver input. In hybrid powertrain, engine operation and control can be completely detached from driver input. It can be completely, you can say, the ECU can completely control the working of the engine. We just have to provide acceleration depending on the ECU. Okay, depending on the requirement, the ECU will be either providing, or it will either provide the power to the powertrain from motor or engine, or it can couple. Those decisions are completely given to the ECU. Operating decisions made on an optimum powertrain efficiency basis with emission envelope. In conventional powertrain, we have to provide the required acceleration and RPM, and depending on the mapping on ECU, those things are, we provide an input, that input is received by the ECU, and ECU again tunes the input and provide the output to the engine. There is a long chain of work. But in hybrid powertrain, the engine is completely detached from driver input. It runs only on the ECU. Then DHE specification and core architecture design determined at the powertrain level to maximize powertrain benefit. In DHE, in dedicated hybrid engine, same thing as in hybrid powertrain also, the engine and working of the engine and motor are completely detached from the driver input. In order to optimize the driving performance. You can see this is the architecture of a DHE. This is the architecture of a dedicated hybrid engine. When we use dedicated hybrid engine, there is an increase in thermal efficiency of 40%. There is an increase in thermal efficiency of 40%. Then low cost friction reduction. There is reduction in friction also. Then intelligent control. We have to implement intelligent control. You can see the percentage division in here. When we use a dedicated hybrid engine architecture, these are the percentage that are shared by different systems. 40% shared by thermal efficiency, then fuel energy 20%, exhaust gas rest 40%. Exhaust gas rest 40%. The total energy content of a dedicated hybrid engine is, you can say divided into these three regions. Hence, most of the engine that we generally see, even the F1 engines also, they are maximum up to, you can say, I have heard maximum of 50 to 60% they are efficient. 60% is too much. Nowadays, you can say they are getting nearly 50 to 60. Okay. 50 to 60% efficient, your F1 engines. Okay. 60% is also too much. 50 within 50, they are within 50% efficiency. Their efficiency is within 50%. 60%, some of the, you can say, lab testing engines, they have 60% efficiency, but when they are tested on the ground stations, their efficiency decreases. Okay, so 50%. Then coolant and thermal management, heat recovery conversion to electric power in dedicated hybrid engine. In dedicated hybrid engine, the heat that is there in the exhaust gas, is utilized. Okay, or it is recovered by using some heat extraction unit. Okay, by using some heat extraction unit. Those heats are recovered. Those heats are recovered and they are again provided to fuel or they are provided to some other reasons. Integrated powertrain thermal management. In dedicated hybrid engine also we have an integrated powertrain thermal management. Okay, that means if the powertrains are, if the temperature of the powertrains are also increasing, then the control unit has a setup to control or to adjust the temperature of the powertrain also. Then engine encapsulation. Okay, engine encapsulation means, remember, if the engine heat is lost to the surrounding, then there is a loss of energy. Hence, engines are encapsulated such that the engine heat will be in a given, or you can say that we can trap the heat of the engine in a given chamber. We can trap the heat of the engine in a given chamber. Engine encapsulation are done in DHE, direct hybrid architecture. Because if the engine's heat is lost to the surrounding, then there is a decrease in efficiency of engine electrified ancillaries. That means even if the engine is off, still the battery and the motor can run the, not motor, the battery system can run the ancillary units. That is your AC, air conditioning, your power steering, your brake boosters, etc., etc. Then in DHE architecture efficiency, what are the reasons that people have worked on in order to improve the efficiency of a DHE, direct hybrid? Okay. Engine encapsulation means engine is encapsulated such that engine will not directly transfer its energy to the ambient. Rather, it will transfer the energy to the ambient through other process like radiators. If it is directly transferring its energy to the ambient, there is a huge loss in efficiency. Hence, engines are encapsulated such that that region will maintain a specific temperature and the heat is extracted by the uses of radiators. Okay. Combustion efficiency, spray quality, injection strategy, air motion, ignition energy, and hydrocarbon emission sources. So in order to improve the combustion efficiency, what we have to do? We have to, or you can see what is done in this DHE architecture. There is a increase in spray quality, injection strategy. We have a lot of overlaps. So the injection strategy must be good to increase the efficiency. Air motion, how the air that is entering the cylinder, what is the motion of that air? By working on these things, okay, ignition energy, then hydrocarbon emission sources. Then thermodynamic efficiency. We also increase the thermodynamic efficiency of the engine by adjusting its compression ratio, adjusting its stroke to volume, or you can say stroke to volume ratio. Okay. Then EGR, exhaust gas recirculation, and lean operating condition. That means we use lean mixtures in order to get maximum efficiency. Combustion insulation. When we use combustion insulation, then there is an increase in efficiency of the engine. Variable then gas exchange efficiency. Gas exchange efficiency means we exchange the gas either from the ambient or from EGR, exhaust gas recirculation. For that, we work on the variable valve trains, we downsize the engine, we implement the EGR, then we work on lean operation. That means the engine will be working in its lean area. Cylinder deactivation, that means some of the cylinders will be completely deactivated during some cycles. That means there will be no injection, there will be no intake stroke also. Means intake stroke will be there, but there will be no airflow. We cannot completely stop the airflow. Okay, we have to make it, you can say, least resistant. That means the valve will open. Remember, engine deactivation means only the fuel is not sprayed, but the valves has to open, or else there will be choke. Okay, then air path losses. We also increase the gas efficiency by working on the air path losses. Then mechanical efficiency. We can increase the mechanical efficiency of dedicated hybrid engines by decreasing the crank train friction, by decreasing the piston friction, by decreasing the valve train friction, timing drive friction, and also auxiliary friction. Then finally the shaft torque. The torque that we get at the shaft, it is 39%. After you can say optimizing all these things, we get 39% at the shaft. Okay. So then what is a DHE geometry? What is the geometry that is generally used in DHE? Or what is the DHE, or what is the geometry of a DHE? For a square engine, bore to stroke ratio is 1. There is a little benefit in raising compression ratio above 13 to 14:1. Increased surface area to volume, okay, ratio leads to high heat loss. Increased surface area to volume ratio leads to higher heat loss. If the volume is very high, okay, sir, if the surface area is very high and the volume is low, there is high amount of heat loss to the ambient. A bore to stroke ratio reduces further increase in compression ratio, continue to provide benefits. Target bore stroke ratio of magma. There is a bore stroke ratio for magma XCB, that is 0.7 to 0.75. Target compression ratio of 17:1. Then the DHE works on Miller cycle. Most of the IC engine works on Miller cycle. Okay, most of the IC engine works on Miller cycle. DHE also works on Miller cycle to mitigate NOx. But in compression ratio, additional measures are required. Water injection, lean homogeneous operation, and cooler EGR have been investigated. So in order to increase the efficiency, we use Miller cycle, and also we use water injection, and also we work on the lean homogeneous operation, as well as we work on cooled EGR. If the gas is cool, or you can say if the gas is cold, then its density is high. Hence, we are working on cooled EGR systems. So, increasing the DHE in DHE geometry, we have increased the compression ratio. We have gone for long stroke, and also we have gone for knock mitigating by implementing Miller cycle through water injection, through lean burn, and cooled EGR. So, these are some of the things that are done in a direct hybrid engines. It works on Miller cycle. Water is injected. Remember, water is injected in direct hybrid engines. Then there is lean burn. Okay, there is lean burn. Means we are burning the fuel for, no, not for cooling. Water is not injected for cooling. Water is injected such that no, lean burn does not increases the NOx. Okay, in high load condition, yes, obviously not in high load condition, in high temperature. Remember, NOx are produced at high temperature, not at high load. When the pressure is very high and the temperature is also very high, then NOx are formed. When the pressure is very high but the temperature is moderate, then there will be no NOx formation. Okay, it will be, I'll be taking some 5 minutes more, 5 to 10 minutes more to complete the session. Then we'll be having our question and answer session. Okay. Yes, water is injected in order to separate, or you can say, we know water is polarized. When water is injected at high temperature, oxygen is supplied or oxygen is available for further combustion. Lean burn and cooler EGR. All these things are implemented in a DHE geometry. Okay. Then what are the companies? There is a company named Mahel. Mahel. Okay. There is a company named Mahel that manufactures these direct hybrid engines. Okay. We call this as, or you can say, they manufacture both direct hybrid engines and also modular hybrid powertrain. Both of them are nearly same. Only their architecture is a bit different. In modular hybrid, the powertrain is directly integrated with the engine. But in direct hybrid engine, there is no powertrain. Powertrain is not connected. You can see this is the direct hybrid engine. Powertrain is not connected in here. In here, the powertrain is connected. Means the differential and the shafts are connected. So what is their benefits? Dual mode plug-in hybrid powertrain. That means we can run both in battery and also in engine. integrated series parallel hybrid electric drive. As we know that in hybrid electric vehicles, we have series hybrid and we have parallel hybrids also. Okay, and we have series parallel hybrids also. And all of these qualities of a series hybrid, of a parallel hybrid, of a series parallel hybrid can be implemented in a direct hybrid engine. Nothing. What is the difference it would cause? See, this is just the same engine with no powertrain, and this is the same engine with a powertrain. Okay. If you want to buy the engine without powertrain, you can buy it. If you want to buy the engine with the powertrain, you can buy. All the options are available. Okay. Dedicated hybrid internal combustion engine, scalable across multiple vehicle application. That means these type of engines can be used across multiple vehicles. Improved emission and reduce after treatment complexity. It reduces emission and also reduces the after treatment complexity. After the exhaust gas needs to be treated before it is left to the surrounding. Before it is left to the surrounding. Since the emission gas is low and it is less, hence the after treatment complexity is also less. Seamless torque delivery provided by a traction motor. Seamless torque delivery, you can say the engine is also working, the motor is also working. They are integrated as a single unit. Hence, the torque delivery is also single. Low weighted drive cycle, for which you can say there is a very less amount of CO2. The purpose target of these engines means all of the vehicles or most of the vehicles will be utilizing these engines to, you can say, 2030. You can say before 2030, most of the vehicles will be integrated with these engines. Why these engines are needed? In order to reduce the range anxiety. Remember, we have to completely remove the IC engines, but the vehicles that are working on battery, they always have a range problem. Hence, we cannot, you can say in India, in India, because of road condition, range will always be a problem. If the road is very good, if there is no traffic, then range is not a problem in most of the electric vehicles. Why Tesla is running very good in outside 3 countries? Traffic is there, but the road is also good. But in Indian road, if the vehicle, you can say, if the manufacturer is suggesting a mileage of, or it is saying a mileage of 200 kilometers per charge, if you drive the car in Indian road, it will reduce to nearly 150 kilometers per charge. Okay. Hence, in Indian roads, we need direct hybrid engines, where we will not be, or the customer will not be having a range anxiety. There will not be a problem of range anxiety. Increased efficiency with parallel hybrid direct drive mode. Increased efficiency with parallel hybrid direct drive mode. That means we can have a direct drive mode, parallel hybrid. Okay, just if you have any system, you can just find out what is the difference between a series hybrid and parallel hybrid, and you can know how these dedicated hybrid engines can work on or work in a condition where parallel hybrids can also run. And means parallel hybrid system. Parallel hybrid system is included in this engine. Then this is a powertrain. Okay, remember, this is a powertrain. Then let us talk about dedicated hybrid engine. Parallel twin cylinder with contra-rotating balancer shaft. The dedicated hybrid engine has a parallel twin cylinder with a contra-rotating balancing shaft. Contra-rotating means same thing, the crankshaft. Crankshaft has balancing shafts or balancing mass. So same, contra-rotating balancing. 2 valves per cylinder. Okay, overhead camshafts, fixed valve timing events, port fuel injection with Mahel jet injection. This is a patented. This design is a patented design by Mahel jet injection. Turbocharger with Mahel electronic wastegate, Miller cycle compression with high geometry compression ratio, limited. See, if you want to know more about Miller cycle, just search for Miller cycle. Okay, Miller cycle is a very efficient engine cycle. Limited speed, load range operation for fuel efficiency. compact, lightweight, and low cost engines. Low technology requirement, very low specific fuel consumption and emission, readily scalable for multiple vehicle application, potential for high efficiency with ultra lean MGI injection. Okay. Then I will say about biofuels. Okay, but we have actually taken a lot of time. So let me just talk about. I will not be going through the theory of biofuels. Let me say you directly what are the biofuels that are available. Okay, what are the biofuels that are available? Okay, so these are the biofuels that are available. Fossil fuels, in fossil fuels we have coal, crude oil, natural gas. The theory that I was showing you, this theory contains these things only. Okay, how the biofuel is manufactured. But let me directly come to this. Okay, let me come to this biofuels. Biofuels, you can say how we generally create the biofuels from crop plants, fermentation. By fermentation, we go for ethanol, methanol, and butanol. Then thermochemical, then BTL. BTL also we get from crop plants. We go for thermochemical treatment process like pyrolysis and thermolysis and Fischer-Tropsch treatment. Using these treatments, we can convert biofuels into high octane liquid fuels. Then animal manure and general waste can also be converted or through digester or landfills to biogas. And again through Fischer-Tropsch conversion, chemical treatment, again they can be converted to high octane biofuels. Crop gains, mechanical process, vegetable oils, this can also be converted to biofuels. Okay. Then we have lot of biofuels. What are the properties of a biofuel? Fuel density, heating value. The heating value you can say generally we measure any biofuel from their HHB and LHB. What is HHB? That is high heating value, and LHB is low heating value. Okay, we generally get or generally compare the biofuels using these two values, high heating value and low heating value. Okay, so these are some of the biofuels that I have shown you in here that can be used. A dedicated hybrid engine, generally some of the dedicated hybrid engines are also designed to use biofuels. Remember, some of the dedicated hybrid engines are also used to biofuels. Now, dedicated hybrid engines can be petrol type, can be diesel type. The dedicated hybrid engines can be of petrol, or they can work on petrol, or they can work on diesel. For petrol, we use octane number. Okay. For petrol, we use octane number, and for diesel, we use cetane number. We use cetane number. And finally, the main thing that is implemented in a dedicated hybrid engine is an active pre-combustion chamber. This design is developed by Maserati. Okay, active pre-combustion chamber. You can see in this design, this is the active pre-combustion chamber in here. What is the use of active pre-combustion chamber? You can say in the cylinder head, let's say this is the piston. In the cylinder head, there will be another chamber. Okay, this will be the chamber, and there will be injector connected. Okay, the injectors are connected in here, and in this chamber there is active combustion. Okay, there is active combustion. When there is compression cycle, what happens? Some of the charge enter this region. Some of the charge enter this region, and when they are ignited, the flame front travels the complete cylinder very fast, making the combustion process faster. Design works on focused on cooling of the pre-chamber along with optimized pre-chamber volume and clamping. So this is the simulation that is done on Ricardo wave and Ricardo valve for active pre-combustion chamber. As a part of the design process, virtual product development tools such as 1D performance simulation and computational dynamics, some of them. In here, you can say these 3D CFD models are used to investigate and develop scavenging of pre-chamber, injection and mixture formation, and ignition and combustion of pre-chamber and main chamber. Okay, so this is the final. That is, active pre-combustion chamber is also used in hybrid or in dedicated hybrid engine. Okay, so I'll be ending the session in here. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, just I'll be providing you 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, I'll be clearing out all the doubts. Then we'll be going for further session of the session. Okay, so just complete. So just quickly ask your doubts. Sir, what about earth moving? So Prathamesh has asked, what about earth moving vehicles? Okay, vehicles, is there SOHC socket head socket overhead cam. Okay. Then so what is the earth moving vehicles engine? They're also meant for they're also replaced by engine gears. Yes, these are what is P1 and P2 powertrain. P1, P2 means parallel hybrid and series hybrid. Parallel hybrid, there is engine, motor, and powertrain. In parallel hybrid, there is engine, motor, and they're connected through a you can say mechanical coupling. And in P1, you can say they are connected in series. Sir, if I am a customer, then why I buy HEV, hybrid electric vehicle? See, you have to buy a HEV. Why you will be buying a HEV? Because if you are working or if you are living in an urban area, then you have to you must have a HEV, hybrid electric vehicle. Okay. Why you should have a hybrid electric vehicle? Because urban area pollution, most of the pollution of urban area is done by ICE engine vehicles. So if you want a very good atmosphere around you, so you should run a hybrid electric vehicle or a full electric vehicle. Okay. That is on your hand. No one is saying that no one is selling to you just buy a hybrid electric vehicle. Nowadays, there is a need of electrification only because to reduce pollution in urban areas. Urban areas, the pollution is very localized. Okay. In rural areas, there is no pollution. In urban areas, the pollution is very localized. It is because of the petrol engines and diesel engines. Is India's future fully prepared for EVs? Yes, it is fully prepared for it. It is more prepared than any other country. Sir, what is micro hybrid vehicles? Micro hybrid vehicles, they have a very small motor and a very large engine. And engine is only used for driving purpose. Motor is just used when the engine is at idling or stop condition, not idling, at stop condition in traffic. Okay. When will this? Okay, it will be